Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Pushing 5 to play in the third. Kobe. Crawford. Hogan. Bring it on, Kobe, baby.
You are now tuned into the chat room. Your favorite baller's favorite podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Chatroom Podcast. I am the Senator, and with me today, I got Essay.
Yo.
And I also got Coach Francis.
What you do? Cheers.
And on this episode, we wanted to do something a little bit different. So we brought in somebody that has basketball knowledge, but also able to give us some knowledge on real estate. So we want to say welcome to Tristian.
How's it going, guys? How you doing?
Welcome.
Good, man.
Doing good.
Good.
I'm
happy to be here, man.
Is there anything you want to say before we jump into this, Tristian?
No, I mean, I love these kind of platforms. It's funny because when you're in the real estate world, you kind of get lost in that. But this is like where I started. Basketball. This is the beginning for me. So before I transitioned into business, so this is fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Shout out to you, bro, for wearing a blazer.
For those that
the first time. Oh, besides Coach's tuxedo, this is the first time.
Somebody wore a tuxedo.
Oh yeah, Coach wore a whole. He wore a whole like announcer suit.
Oh, you gotta give respect to that, man.
Now he's drinking wine at 1:00 in the day, but
drinking wine and wearing a hoodie. That's what's going on, bro.
Tuxedo, I rate it. I love it. I love it.
Versatile, man.
It's a crazy world we live in. All right, so let's jump into a couple questions just to get this started. So we usually have roundtable discussions to start off. So I'm gonna ask the most outlandish one to start.
Here we go. I like the way.
What's going on, bro?
Which NBA mascot is your favorite?
What? Bro.
Yo, the Raptors for me, man.
That's a given.
I guess.
Yeah.
Who's more animated? Who's more animated than the Raptor?
Guys, I haven't been scouting mascots lately, so I would say the Raptor for sure.
Hey, we gotta show love to the mascots. Like,
right.
Like the thing is, MLB, you have some of the funniest mascots in there. Like they do the races, they do all that stuff. We've seen Robin Lopez have his battle against mascots all across. All across the NBA.
Like a world tour,
right? So, so I'm just here to show some love to the mascots, the ones that don't really get the love like everyone else does. So,
has Lopez ever tried to throw hands with the Raptor though? I doubt it.
No, they've had their encounters.
Okay.
I think he goes after every
he goes after all mascots. Yeah.
Even the Raptor guy, I swear he put him. I swear he put him out. I swear the Raptor would knock him out.
Probably.
I put my money on the Raptor for sure.
That's probably a brother in that suit.
No, for sure. Guaranteed.
Probably a brother in that suit. Bro.
He's not having any of that. He's not having any of it. No. He seems petty to me too.
Yes, very much so. I agree.
Yo, you think he's bad? The Blue Jays even worse. So I worked with the Blue Jay, and he.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That guy will throw hands with a fan. He doesn't care.
I'm a fan of the Raptor, but I'm also a fan of Denver Nuggets mascot. Like anytime I do those, like anytime I watch those streams from like those specific games, and you get to see like the stuff that happens while they're on commercial breaks. Yeah, like he's hilarious, man. Like, so it'd be like those two are my top two. Raptors number one, and then the Denver Nugget mascot.
Crazy. Like I'm a Laker fan. I don't even know what the hell the Laker mascot is.
I don't even think I've seen the Laker mascot.
Lakers mascot is Jack
Laker
Nicholson.
has a mascot?
I have no idea.
Jack Nicholson. He's their mascot.
Every game. Like
I've never seen them have a mascot.
I thought every team had a mascot, but I didn't even know what the Laker mascot is.
That's crazy. Until you I would never even think about this, but now you're saying that I've never.
Yeah,
the Laker mascot in my life.
Never.
Ever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
LA's too good for mascots.
And being a Kobe fan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Yeah. Kobe
would you guys?
Laker fan. I've never seen. I couldn't tell you what the hell. Like I don't know what it'd be like a lake.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you guys look at me differently if I said I used to be a mascot?
Nah.
Oh yeah.
For a nightclub too.
For a nightclub, interesting.
Yeah.
What nightclub had a mascot?
I don't even know if I should put my business out on there, but City Toronto nightclub as a mascot, and I've actually like thrown hands on Carabana weekend.
Because people try you.
Oh yeah. People try you all the time, man. People try you all the time.
Are you sure
especially when they're drunk?
Are you sure?
Yeah, for sure.
Are you sure you were?
I was in a costume.
Or were you one of those sign guys that just pointed to where the direction of the club?
Hey, those guys need a lot of respect, man, because they've been doing some stuff out there in the rain.
Oh yeah,
it don't matter, bro. Man. Yeah,
some of them can some of them can spin those, bro.
Yeah, it's tough.
They thought they were a ninja in another life, man. They're just the way they're twirling that sign.
Man, every Little Caesar that opens up, you see like two of them out there, like, and they're out there all the entire time while Little Caesars is open. It's crazy.
Getting it in.
Facts. Get a paycheck the best way you can, right?
Hey,
exactly.
Man, it is what it is, man.
Times, yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So seeing that Coach didn't have an answer for the mascot one because he didn't know his team had a mascot.
I said kind of Lakers, kind of. I mean, I guess
you're a Laker fan, you don't even know your mascot? Shame.
I mean, it is what it is, bro.
It's a tough one. I can't even tell you what it is.
All right. So here's a tough one for the league-wise. Who do you think is the toughest player in the league to guard?
To guard?
Harden is frustrating to me. Harden, I would. Harden's up there for me.
Harden because of the whistle and his tricks.
I think Harden would be frustrating to guard just because, like, you can't be physical with him because he's 6'6", he's big, and you can't really crowd him because he always gets he gets the whistle, and he's smart because he manipulates the rules. So like he knows how to do like the gather step and like all those stuff. So that's what's frustrating. But I think just in regards to just like who's a tough guard, I think it's KD when he's healthy, 7 feet guy with guard skills and can shoot it. That's
right.
Tough.
Yeah.
What about AD though?
AD is there as well, but like the problem with AD that like as a Laker fan, like I love having him on the team, but like it's frustrating because he needs a guard to get him the ball. That's why him and Braun work so well.
True.
Because he relies on like he's not like a guy who could say, okay, go get your own shot. And you see when they're playing Miami put small guys on him, and he wasn't able to kind of get his own shot with those small guys, right? So like that was kind of frustrating. But with regards to KD, you put him anywhere. You put him on the block, you put him on the mid post, you put him on the perimeter, anywhere you want on offense, he's a threat. He's very similar to like what Melo was back in the day. Melo was like a 3-level scorer, but he's just
with a 3-point shot though.
With a 3-point shot, right? And it's just KD just has the ability to put the ball on the ground and like 7 feet tall, shoots above his head, so you can't block him. You can't like he gets whatever he wants. So like my answer would be KD, but it's tough. Like
I would say AD with a killer instinct. AD doesn't have that. He doesn't. Yeah. I think that's what Braun is there to like. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know, man. They're spending a lot of time trying to like form it, but it's either you have it or you don't have it.
You don't. No. He's not a. He's a number one level like skill level, but like in order to be like that guy in the NBA, he's not that.
He's a Hulk, right? He needs a captain. He can't.
Yeah.
You can't put him on his own to kind of, and he kind of showed that in New Orleans, even now, I think with LeBron there, it would be interesting to see, like, because I think LeBron's gonna take some time off with the league starting so early. So it'd be nice to see. It'll be interesting to see how AD performs during LeBron's load management. I mean, time off. So
just remember, I'm saying this. I have a strong feeling, like maybe it's me being a hopeful Laker fan, but I've been saying this for like weeks that I think they're gonna go on and make a trade and pick up like a 2 guard. And the name I think they're gonna pick up, like I wouldn't be surprised if it's Bradley Beal, but like I was seeing some
for who though.
They can like Green has an expiring deal, so he has 1 year left. He has 15 mil, so you can get rid of him.
They'll get rid of him.
They'll get rid of him.
Yeah.
They'll include Kuzma. They'll include Kuzma in that. I think like them playing Caruso a lot of minutes in the playoffs is going to add to his value. I think he could be a piece. I think also Avery Bradley can be a piece that they may move because he has a we call it again. He has a player option. So so his contract is done right now, but he's probably gonna pick up his player option for next year. So you can move him because that's just dead money. The only person who I think who teams would want him, but they probably wouldn't move him would be the guy from Clutch, KCP. They probably wouldn't move him.
And that's something I don't think Lakers can get Beal without trading a piece they don't want to trade out,
right?
Because they want to get rid of Kuzma, they want to get rid of Green.
Kuzma, Green.
Bradley's in the air because he never really had a chance to perform, but he does have a player option.
And
but I don't think they can get out of that cleanly. I think
no. I mean, they'll probably move draft. Like they're gonna move players, obviously, but I just think with Braun probably gonna take a month off, like because he doesn't want to play December 22nd after short, so he'll probably take a month off or whatever. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and get like a name that I seen on the internet a few times was Buddy Hield as well.
Okay.
Because Buddy Hield wants out of Sacramento.
Yeah, he wants out of Sacramento.
And
so that's
balling right now too.
That's the name I saw. So I mean, regardless, I think like as I said, as you're saying, AD is not a top, not a number one guy, but skill wise, he's tough, bro. He's tough to guard, man. Like when he's on, he's impossible to guard.
Yeah, he's a solid two though. He's a solid 2-man. Like that's a second. Yeah. I mean, I know that's what they want. They want him to take over, but I don't even think. I think even like if he spends 2, 3, 4 years with LeBron, who knows how long he has. But even with that, like I don't. The transition, I just don't see it, man. Like I think he's plays his best without that pressure. Like I mean, he stepped up in the playoffs a few times. Obviously, he had those a few times.
I mean, he wasn't really in a pressure situation.
No.
Yeah,
all the pressure's on LeBron. Yeah. So it's funny. I was talking to somebody about that, and we can get into talk about this with Andrew Wiggins as well. With Andrew Wiggins with Golden State.
Yeah.
Wiggins, I think he's going to be phenomenal this year. That's my take.
He's gonna be great.
I think he's gonna be phenomenal this year when Clay's back. That's my team. Outside of so I was a Laker fan before, and then Kobe left, and then I just like I'm not really. I respect LeBron, but I'm not a LeBron fan. So, Golden State, other than Raptors, obviously we all go for Raptors, but Golden State, I feel they're gonna come like ready to go.
You give Clay and Steph a year to just relax, and even Draymond, after like 4 or 5 years going to the finals, you give them a year to just kick back and relax, and then you put a versatile wing who's athletic, who can shoot it, can run the floor, can defend. You put him in the mix, and then they're probably gonna draft that center from Memphis. So now you got the best shooting backcourt in the NBA, the best passing facilitator 4, and then you got an athletic wing and an athletic center. So like they're pretty much back to what they were when they were
back to that record-breaking lineup.
And if he's not available, let's say the center's not there, they can obviously take that pick and go and get some vets or get whatever pieces that they need.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're in the Wiggins as a third option
with them.
Crazy. With them because there's no pressure at all.
Imagine all the space he's gonna have now because you can't leave Clay and Steph one-on-one. You have to have somebody like a body and a half on them. Now you're gonna give Wiggins all the space to attack and be aggressive and play off the ball and with no pressure on him. Like he's just
no, but that's the key. What you just said is the pressure. The pressure, bro. The pressure. That one when you're playing that the go-to guy, you're the franchise player. You have all the pressure. All the pressure. When he doesn't, he's never like think about Wiggins' life, like all his career, he's been that guy.
Yeah.
High school, probably like obviously from middle school onwards, or from when he's in elementary school onwards, he's been that guy. All the pressure's on you. You know what I mean? And he's not performing to the peak where he could. But now, no pressure. You know what I mean? You don't have you're not the first, you're not the second, that's for sure. No, you're the third or even fourth option.
Or even fourth, that's true.
You got a good captain too. Like
well, it'll go one of two ways, to be honest with you though. It could either go Harrison Barnes in the regular season of that year or Harrison Barnes in the playoff.
But Harrison Barnes in the playoff wasn't bad.
No, I'm talking about the finals when they pretty much just slacked off on him and he went for whatever, right? Like it could either be him playing up to the potential of a third option, like he did in the regular season when they went when they were going crazy with the wins,
right?
Or the pressure could actually hit in the finals and then stuff like that, right? Like because Wiggins hasn't been playoffs.
Honestly,
right? That's a different level of trying to live up to that third option potential when you get there, right? Because
I think the pressure was more on him because he signed that Supermax deal, right? For like 150 million, whatever. He signed that big deal. So I think the pressure was when you sign deals like that, like a lot of expectations come with that. So even if you look at his numbers are not like he's having all-star caliber numbers. Like he's at 21 points a game. Like he doesn't have bad numbers. Like people are saying like he's a bust, but he's not having bad numbers. He's having like on par numbers, all-stars. But the problem is that he was number one pick and he signed that Supermax. So he got all those, like he's not performing up to that level. Up to that like if you want Supermax, like you expect like 26, 27, 28 points a game in the running for
when we were let's be real, Wiggins was like LeBron for us. They were putting that kind of pressure on him. Obviously, LeBron's pressure is unreal, but they were trying to match that same type of pressure. And he was not that. He's not I just don't think he's that guy. He's not that guy. Yeah. Athletically, he's insane, but yeah.
So to get back to the question, I agree with all you guys' answers. So I'm gonna have to throw out an answer that's not one that you guys put out there. And so I would put Kyrie 1-on-1.
I was gonna say that too. That was gonna be my second.
I'll put Kyrie 1-on-1 because if Kyrie if he starts feeling confident in his shot, then he finishes probably the best in the league at the rim.
Under the rim,
right.
His handles is probably top 2 in the league. And if you make the switch, he can break down the center. But a lot of the time with him is that he over dribbles to create his shot. But if you're going 1-on-1, I think he might be he'll be the person that I'll put up there because you guys already took the other answers I was gonna use. So,
and do you think with KD now on the floor with him, he'll still over dribble, or you think he'll be more conscious with his dribbling? Like, because he won't have to. KD will make more space for him, right?
If they go out and sign Joe Harris, if they bring him back, like they're a very good team. Very good. So I don't see. They're a very good team with players who have not been to playoffs before. So I think the biggest problem with him on Boston was they experienced playoff success the year before he was there.
Right.
So they had like their chest was already kind of high because like, oh, we've been here, we know what we know.
Yeah, bro, we don't need you.
Yeah. Whereas on Brooklyn right now, like those guys, like they were in playoffs last year and they got blown out by like 30 points every game, right?
Yeah.
So like that's not really like experience. That's just an ass whooping. Right, so
it's motivation. That's what it is,
I guess. But you look at like guys who have played on our team. Yeah, DeAndre Jordan has playoff experience. Wilson Chandler got playoff experience. Kyrie, KD. Other than that, it's a bunch of guys who are talented, but they don't have playoff experience. So I think on a team like that, I think Kyrie's gonna slot right into like he's gonna be that 1A, like 1B because KD is 1A, but Kyrie's gonna be that okay, like go get us a bucket. We need you to facilitate. Like they're not going to be so defensive when if he's over dribbling. So
the only issue is they don't have a leader though.
I think this is going to be the year that if KD wants to be seen as that same level as LeBron or past LeBron, where he has to step up as a leader because the problem because it's the same issue that they had with the Clippers, where Kawhi is not a leader.
Nope.
Kawhi is just an assassin,
leader, yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
he is the
Vocal
guy to just go out there and whatever, right?
And get a bucket.
Yeah, and sometimes with Kyrie says some of the stuff that are outlandish to people, so some people might ignore that. So you need that. You need KD to be that vocal leader to really say that, hey, this is what is happening. Don't worry about that. So he needs him to step up and say that this is what we need to do, all that stuff, right? Or just give me the ball and move out the way. Like he needs to be that type of player for them to be successful.
I think, yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because if they don't, Kyrie's going to be the vocal leader, and people are going to stop listening to him. Because that's where the problem is. Especially even in Cleveland when he went to Boston, all that stuff. Like when he went on First Take, like the amount of comments that came off of it, like this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about, like all that stuff, the flat earth stuff, like all that stuff that comes out. Like he talks a lot.
Like honestly, like I don't think the talking is necessarily a issue per se. It's just that what he says, he's like, I don't want to use this, especially since the election is, I don't want to use this as an example, but it's the only thing that comes to my mind. Like when you think of Trump, it's not necessarily like, obviously the words he says are like no wrong words, whatever. He's not saying the right thing. But the problem with people with him as a president is that he's decisive. Like he's divisive. He divides everything. He divides the country apart.
Also arrogant.
He's arrogant, yeah. But his words, like they don't bring. Like you want your leader to kind of whatever he says, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, you want your leader to kind of bring the team together and bring guys bring guys together. And that's why Braun is so good, because he can talk shit out of his ass, but you believe his words, that he brings guys together and he brings you to the end goal. Whereas Kyrie, I think he isn't. I'm not in the locker room, but what I hear from him and what I see, how I see the teammates respond to him, they don't like. It's not like galvanizing. It's more like, okay, well, Kyrie's doing his thing again. Do your thing.
Pretty much,
like it's not like, oh shoot, like this is somebody who I can get behind. Like, yeah, this is my guy. I'm gonna rock with him. He's not that. And even KD is not that guy either.
They just gotta bring back the GOAT, man. Bring back Jared Dudley to the team, and you'll get that vocal leader.
And call it a day.
He's a champion now, so it's all.
I seen a post on Instagram saying that so it was basically Michael Jordan playing basketball, like at this age, like I think like last week. Yeah. And the man said, if Jared Dudley can be in the league, Jordan can start. And Jordan's like what, 50 something now?
Oh my god!
His knees are 70 though.
That's how they're doing the guy.
That's crazy, bro.
Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that to the GOAT.
Wow.
And right before Coach drinks, because you guys are both Kobe fans. So there was this big discussion online today because there was a picture that somebody posted that said that had Jesus crossing Kobe.
Wow.
And then the discussion
on
was
a Sunday.
The discussion was Kobe. Jesus would never do that to Kobe. Like Kobe's the GOAT. Kobe would cross up Jesus. So they were going back and forth online.
Jeez.
People were just commenting. Somebody said Jesus fed 5,000 people with one loaf of bread, and a Kobe fan said, but Kobe dropped 81 on and was down 20 and brought them back. You ain't never seen Jesus do that.
Hey, the internet is undefeated, bro. I tell you that.
No, you can't. You'll never beat
undefeated,
the internet.
Bro.
No,
you'll never. To be able to compare Kobe and Jesus, you can't beat it. What can you do? What can you do?
Once
on
I
a
saw
Sunday.
Once I saw Cardi B post, because the election result, that the whole group of the street was all singing WAP. like
Oh
that was
my
like
God.
that's a celebratory song for this election.
Wow.
It's yeah, the internet is undefeated.
Undefeated.
Bro.
It was on
That's
CNN.
facts, bro.
They were singing it.
What?
And
That's
CNN was
crazy.
recording it.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
But CNN and Fox, they're both known for being very outlandish and wild. So
Oh yeah, both on opposite ends.
opposite sides, yeah.
Yeah.
They're both known for being just saying the most just outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
So
It's a fact.
it is what it is. Is what it is.
All right, coach.
But yeah. But yeah. So Tris, like you're one of the guys who like I've grown up watching playing ball. From like your father kind of pioneered the first team I ever played on basketball in Toronto, ETBA. But yeah, like like your father has given a lot of opportunities to kind of kids in the city, like in Galloway, like in inner city.
Right.
Give a lot of opportunities to kind of those kids. How important is it? Like how important do you feel it is kind of for like people who have made it out of that situation, like out of the hood? How important do you think it is for us guys like us to kind of give back to the community? Because I know like you're part of what Chubbs does a lot in the winter with that Christmas giveaway and stuff, and Chubbs as another guy who I grew up with. But yeah, like how important do you feel it is to kind of give back to the community?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I just so I try to go by like family on Sundays, so I'm actually at my pop's place right now. Yeah, they're watching movies and stuff up there. But he, if you're asking about importance, it's extremely important. I mean, as you know, we grew up in Galloway, and
yes,
really, there's not a lot of outlets outside of just, it's either you ball or you play ball, you do some sports, or you do other things. Pretty much. You know what I mean? And you're in the streets, you're doing all kinds of stuff, and it's very easy, especially where we're from, like to get caught up in that world, bro. Everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? All your friends, they grew up watching all the OGs, all the older heads doing the same foolishness in the streets and all that kind of stuff. So I remember when my dad, it's like 20 years now, like over 20 years, which is crazy. Yeah. When he started ETBA, and it was because I wanted to play basketball. I was Dad, I really think he saw that I was serious with it, and I was really interested in it. So I remember we went to like SBA in Scarborough, SBA house league, and we were doing it, and he didn't like that they were kind of selecting players, their guys, and based on whether they had money and all that, right? Like those programs are not cheap; they're expensive. So my dad was like, "Okay, well, I mean, I have all these kids, going to the Boys and Girls Club and all these different things that want to play ball. It wasn't just me; it was a lot of kids of my age. All of us wanted to play basketball, but we didn't have anything there that was set up for us. So and something that's affordable. So that's the reason why he started it. He started because he saw all of us, all the kids, my age, older and also younger, that are not doing anything. We have programs at the Boys and Girls Club, which is great, but nothing organized, no rep team that's kind of, in our area that's actually, going out there playing at OBA and all these different tournaments and all that stuff. So that's why he started to do it. And I remember he really wanted to not focus on, and to this day it's still the same way. He doesn't care about being the number one organization. He doesn't care about the fact that whether you win OBA or not. Obviously, you want to be competitive. Yeah, it's just creating the opportunity. That's it. He wanted to just be there for the kids, for them, making sure that it's affordable, making sure that they have somewhere else to be outside of just being outside in the streets. So that's how we started it, and the importance is obvious. Like, look at you. I mean,
that's facts,
you know what I mean? Like, for me, obviously, growing up with him, I had that. But like, I'm looking at the different people that I'm with now, or that I see that came from my area now, and the ones that were like in the programs and all that. It helps, man. It keeps them off the streets. You mentioned Chubbs, like Chubbs, Preem, all these guys. These guys are now all my clients. They're now clients of mine. Like, I work with all of them. Literally, Preem, Chubbs, a lot of even more OVO guys, and in that camp through Chubbs, just because of the relationship. But those relationships were built from organizations and programs like ETBA, like basketball, like you know what I mean, where you're able to kind of come up together off of the BS, not on the foolishness, not on the streets, but on something that's solid. So that's it. And then you asked about the importance like of giving back. Like what Chubb's doing, I applaud him so much.
I'm so envious because every year it happens, I'm always stuck in
You're
Calgary.
not out here.
And it's like it's crazy because like he always does it in the white building in the gym. And it's like if people like know my story and stuff, like that's where I started playing ball in the white building in the gym. So like the fact
slippery
that
gym,
slippery gym, and like
I hate those courts.
Everybody,
those ice rinks.
Everybody
it's tile. It's not hardwood.
It's tile. Yeah. Everybody knows about Scarborough basketball. Like if you come from Galloway, you're not a shooter. You can't shoot. You know why? Because the rim is fucking like this far from the ceiling. So
there's no outlet passes.
So you're not outletting. You can't. You're not a shooter. But if you grew up playing ball in Galloway, you can handle the ball. You're athletic. You can get to the rim. You're physical. Like these are just things that just.
You can ice skate too, apparently.
You're great at ice skate. Yeah, but yeah, like that. Those programs give you outs. They give you outlets. That's why I mean, I was talking to Chubbs. We're trying to figure out for next year, back to school, all these different things. I'm just like, bro, this is not enough. We need to do more. I would even love to even just not only for basketball, but for me, like obviously I grew up in ball, did it, stopped doing it. Got into the business world and the professional world. Now I'm like, okay, well, how could I help people? I'm glad I'm doing this podcast because how could I help people now think about buying homes? We grew up in areas where you don't even think about buying homes. Everybody rents. Everybody rents. Getting out of housing, just getting out of housing is like moving on up Jefferson. Like you know what I mean? Just to get out of the system and be in a position where you could pay market rent is huge where we're from. So getting past, and it's all mental, bro. Like everything is all about how you think and opening up your mind. So if you don't have anybody there that's there to kind of coach you not even take coaching up, but like showing you, giving you kind of like the roadmap or the blueprint of how to do it. These are the things that we need, and this is that's the way I feel like I can contribute back. So that's what I'm working on right now is a not-for-profit organization that gives information for obviously basketball is basketball, but for things like building wealth, how to get your credit up, how do you how do you save, how do you live within your means, how do you we don't everybody has that problem. Exactly. It's
that's
not even
true.
just there. That's a problem across the board.
And to add on to what you were saying, because you just brought up a very valid point, and I just want to like reiterate it, right? It's just the idea of the mentality of getting out of housing compared to paying market rate rent, right? Or market rate mortgage, whichever one, right? Because the thing about housing is that it makes it so much easier for you to afford the rent because it's gearing it towards your income, right? So you're paying a lot less compared to what market rate would be, and so you get comfortable with it. And getting out of your comfort zone is a very scary thing. Everybody knows that, right? Even the idea of us doing this podcast and having it video recorded. To me, I had to step out of my comfort zone for that because I'm okay with the speaking audio wise, but being on camera is different, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing with housing, and it's trying to convince people and get them to understand and the value of not settling in this system just because you're comfortable with this system. Get out of it because you can always get something better. You don't settle for that simple stuff that you're accustomed to, right?
Yep.
Another thing you brought up too that I think you should kind of touch a bit more on is credit, because especially growing up in the hood and growing up like in not well off areas, the minute the bank gives you credit, it's like, where's the next Jordans? You know what I'm saying? PS4's out there. Let me grab that. Right? And it's we're not taught to think in the future. We're not taught about the fact that spending credit is a lot harder to recover than spending like physical liquid cash. So if you want to talk a bit more about that, kind of like, because a lot of our listeners probably are struggling with credit. I know I'm in the process of rebuilding my credit, and it's a slow process,
Slow.
you know.
And same with me.
Had I known when I first got my first credit card what the future would entail, would have been a lot smarter and better with it, right? So, what can you speak on that? Being an expert.
Yeah, no problem. So I did everything that you guys like. The second I got the card, gone. Shopping, and you think it's almost like the thought process is, you know, this is like a salary you're given. You know what I mean?
Hans, I check on you, bro. Like, yo, my first credit card, I thought it was free money.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's
bro,
like
my first credit card, I friggin' emptied that shit, bro.
Gone.
It's kind of like when people just got the CERB check,
emptied that,
and they just spent it all off without
exactly.
realizing that they may have that they're gonna have to repay back at the end,
and
then they're confused about
knowledge.
Like, man, I gotta pay this back. It's the same type of idea.
Crazy.
I give so I did that. I bought everything right away, got into debt right away, and I was good at. See, the scary part about credit and credit cards is I was good at keeping up with it. So if you're able to keep up with it, the system is set up where they will give you more. You know what I mean? If you keep up with it, they'll continue to reward you for keeping up. So they'll give you more credit, and it slowly creeps up onto you until you're in a point which I was in that point. But I was in some serious debt, but I was able to keep it going. Like I was able to maintain. But all it takes is just one situation to happen in your life, and then
like a pandemic,
it just will wrap everything. So I had that happen, and that's a whole discussion on its own a few years ago, where that changed my life because I had a house of cards essentially. Like I was able to keep up. I was making enough income in my business to kind of keep things going, but it just takes one good wind to blow everything down. And I can happily say like I have better credit than I even had ever in my life now, but it took for me to rebuild over the last few years to get to that point. And part of it was saying this, I'm done with. Like I don't do the credit cards. Like I have them, but I don't walk around with them. I don't use them like that at all. I pay them completely off. I use currently right now credit cards for Netflix, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and all those things, just kind of like on a reoccurring cycle, and it gets paid automatically.
Build a history,
When I started doing that, they start giving you more credit. They start to you're in a position now where if you don't have that debt, and if it's being paid off every month, you're able to actually maintain, you know what I mean, a great credit score, and also just it's not your money. It's not your money, bro. I just tell my
that's the biggest thing.
It's not my
yours.
It's not your money. So I had, and sorry, I know we're kind of going. I want to really stay on the subject because my nephew, he's 18, and he see all of his friends getting credit cards now. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna go get a credit card. I had to sit down with him. I'm like, bro, I wish somebody did what I'm going to do with you right now. This is not your money.
Facts. Yeah.
You don't own. This is not yours. Like this money is not yours. It's not at all. All you're doing, use it to build your credit, and that's it. My way is I'm an extreme kind of person. I don't like to kind of play, because I think when I was playing in the middle, that's what got me into trouble before with credit. So I decided not to do that. So now I don't play with it at all. I literally just told him like, look, you want to build your credit at a $500 or $1,000 if you can manage it. You're not even managing it because I don't want you to touch it. All you're gonna do is set up your Netflix. You're gonna set up your Netflix. You're gonna set up your Spotify or whatever you have as which is like only about $30 or so of a reoccurring monthly payment that comes out, and you make it automatic out of your bank account every month. So for the due date, it automatically comes out of your card. And it pays that $20. It sounds like an insignificant amount, but they look at things like your utilization rate. So they look at how much debt do you have based on the credit that you. So for example, if you have $10,000 of credit, if you're using $1,000 of that 10,000, you're only utilizing 10%, right? So they look at that. That's favorable. If you're using $6,000 out of the $10,000 credit card, you're now getting into a point where it's unfavorable for you, where your utilization rate is now high. You don't want it to be there. So I tell them, but they want to see activity.
Yeah.
So it can't just be sitting there, right? That almost affects you as well, right?
Yeah.
So you want to actually, so the activity is having the Netflix, your Spotify, and all these things coming out, being charged on that card, and then being paid automatically from your bank account. But don't use it ever. I was telling him I want to keep. I told him I want to take your card. I want to take. You know what I mean? Because I know because to tell an 18-year-old not to use a credit card is impossible.
Yeah. And that's the thing I had a problem with. I don't know, like in Toronto, when I went to U of T, it's like everywhere you go, there's people giving like free headphones for a credit card. You know, free T-shirt, all that stuff. And you have these young kids. Oh my God, my own money. Let me just grab it and then build up debt from the jump.
The worst one.
People don't understand. Kids don't understand that's not your money. That's very important.
One is when you're grocery shopping, and they come to you with it, and they're like, if you sign up, you can get like $100 of gas. You can get $100 gift card right now. Why pay for your own food? We're gonna give you a gift card, so whatever. So you're like, oh man, all right, I get to save this $100 right now because I'm gonna sign up. I get approved. Cool. Then a year later, you're like, "Oh crap! I maxed out my card. I ain't got no money."
That's how they get you.
Yep, and they get you, and that's just what I'm bringing up is that's just the way I'm only giving my philosophy behind it. Some people have control, and they could like ideally in the ideal world, you use a card for your things and then pay it off at the end of the month.
Yeah,
like you pay it off on the statement date. That's the ideal world. I realized I tried that and it didn't work. I tried it for a couple months, and within a couple months, it just didn't work. I spent too much that I didn't have that money at that time. So then it starts to revolve, and then you have a revolving balance, and then it just grows and grows and grows. So my thing to him, I know my nephew. I know he's like me, where he's going to spend it if it's in the. I'm like, bro, I want to take the second you get the card set up, give it to me. I don't want you to use it. And then that way, when they give you the credit increases, take them, because you don't have your card anyways. I have it. So when they give you the credit increases, take them. You do this. But really, from what I was talking to somebody from Credit Canada, all you really need is like 2 revolving credits. Like you have your credit card or your line of credit to build credit. That's really all you really need to build credit. All the other stuff, it's, you know what I mean? That can get you potentially into trouble as well. Cars get people into trouble. Payday loans are the worst thing ever.
And most of them are
never get out of that. Yeah, well, where do you don't see payday loans in like certain suburbs where $1 million properties and all that. You'll never see any of that stuff. They will not make a dime because the rich people are teaching their kids this stuff. You don't have any.
I think at Jane Wilson there's like a payday loan shop on all 4 corners.
That's crazy.
My God. Same thing at Scarborough.
I'll say one last thing on this one.
Yeah, of course.
Is American Express. So if people are getting credit cards, they got to understand that American Express only has like 2 actual credit cards. Everything else is considered charge cards. So for credit cards, they say you can pay the minimum balance. So if you don't have a high amount, whatever, and you pay the minimum balance, okay, that goes on to that counts as a payment. It's not paying it off. But with charge cards, you have to pay off the full balance. And I worked at a collection company in Toronto when I lived there, and people had American Express cards, and they had like $50,000 on their charge card because that's what the limit was. And they thought they were doing the right thing by making what they considered minimum payments, what they thought the 10% payment was. But then it was in collections because they weren't paying off the full amount. They were making what a credit card would consider a minimum payment. So understanding the difference between a credit and a charge card too is a big thing too.
That's a solid point, brother. Solid. I don't see it that many, just even with clients, a lot of American Express users, but they do get this. They get it. When you get that card and you think, oh, I have a high balance, I can spend that money. You have a high balance they're expecting the full amount, as you said, at that time, the full amount of that full balance at that month or that during that time, or else exactly you go to collections, which is insane. It's not the same as your other Visas and MasterCard.
That's crazy. All right, so just kind of touching back on like the real estate side, like So like for me, like say I'm an inexperienced shopper, whatever, and I'm interested in purchasing a house or getting property. Like, what are some questions like as an inexperienced shopper? Like, what are some questions that I should be like aware of, or questions that I should be able to ask my real estate agent?
That's a good question. So if you're starting off, I like if you're my first time buyer, I will first tell you to go to a mortgage broker for the very first thing, mortgage broker or mortgage agent. And there's two types of people that you can see for the lending side. And obviously a mortgage broker or a mortgage agent, they're going to help you get the financing for you to buy the home. That's the very, very, very first step before you even go look at a property, before you go online, start shopping online. Go and find out what your situation is. So one of the things that a mortgage broker is going to ask you about is credit. Funny that we're talking about it. They're going to want to know about your credit. And at that moment, the earlier you do this, I always tell them, I've had a situation where I've had a couple of clients that were young, and they came to me saying that I want to buy a home. I said, go to a mortgage. I sent them to one of my mortgage brokers. And even though they didn't have everything set up, it took about 2-3 years for them to get to the point where they can buy. But it was valuable time because the mortgage broker said, okay, this is your credit. You need to do this. You need to pay down on certain cards, stay away from car loans if you can, all these different things that in terms of your credit, paying down your, more than the balance, knocking out debt as much as possible. I try to stay away from debt as much as possible now in my life. I'm 34 years old now, and I've seen what could happen if you get into some deep. I was in it, and it put me, as I said, it put me in a tough position. I had to redo everything and set everything back up. I didn't have to declare bankruptcy or anything like that, but sell my home and all these different things just to fix all those stupid mistakes that I've made over years. And like I keep telling, I know I'm kind of off topic now, but I want to stress to your listeners, you may see as a little bit of like a small issue now, but if you don't fix that habit, or if you don't fix that problem, and you continue down that path, that pattern, you will get to a point where you're looking at a terrible situation. Like you're just in a pit, and now you're gonna have to restart. And I know I haven't even shared this on, like, I'm planning on doing this and sharing this on social media and all that kind of stuff, because I want to be open to as many people as possible about it. But yes, setting up your credit, that's going to be something that a mortgage broker is going to be able to walk you through. They're going to want to talk about your debts, as I said, your student loans, paying that off, or your car payments. Somebody that's looking for a home, you shouldn't have a car payment that's like $1,300, $1,000 a month. That's going to destroy you. That's going to take up, that's going to eat up at the ratios. They have this thing called debt ratios, where they look at your debt compared to the income that's coming in. And if that number of
assets,
that number is, and assets, exactly that. Yes, any income, like your assets that's bringing in income or appreciating, and they look at that and they see, okay, well, if that's too high, then that will affect how much money the bank will give you, or if they give you money at all. So that's big. Income, they're going to want to look at your income, how much money you make. They're going to want to look at debt, income, credit, and I'm missing one thing. I'm losing my mind right now. I think that's pretty much it. If you get those three things under wraps, and then your down payment, of course. How much money you got? I'm like, there's four. I always say there's four. The fourth thing is money. You got to see how much money. And in Canada, 5% is the minimum down payment, up to $500,000. So if you're looking at for a home, I know that exists in Alberta and Calgary, but in Toronto, it's very tough to find something for $500,000, depending on where you are. But for $500,000, you can put down a minimum of 5% down payment. So those four things, you deal with that: credit, income, debt, and then down payment. You're based on those four things, the mortgage broker will be able to tell you what you can afford. And once you have that number, whether it's $500,000 or $600,000, then you come to me and we go and we kind of look at your criteria and then start shopping from there. But that's the hardest part. The financing, getting that side, those requirements filled, that is I would say even more than 50% of the battle. You know what I mean? That's always the toughest part, is getting the financing and meeting those requirements.
I had a friend out here, and I'll use them as an example because they talk about it openly. Was that they were right in the process of signing for their finance. They had everything. They had the down payment, credit's amazing, all that stuff. And then COVID hit.
Oh my God.
And because COVID hit and she was a week late signing the paper, it put the whole process in jeopardy because we work at a gym. So the gym had to close because of the pandemic. So she almost lost the house that she put a down payment on because of the fact
because her income's unstable.
Because they said the income was unstable, even though she had co-signers, because she wasn't the one with the actual job that it put it all up to jeopardy. She got the house. Thankfully, she was able to get back to work. But it was about to be a next thing where she almost lost her down payment because it was the financing section, right?
Yeah.
So
it's everything. We see all of our deals. You would think like inspection plays a big role. Inspection does. I mean, if there's like crazy mold in the attic, which happened to me with a client like last month, literally. But those things can be fixed. Those things could be adjusted. The biggest like hurdle, or I guess you could say, problem that we see deals not close or fall through is due to financing. And it's usually right now, as you said, with COVID, income. Because they want to see stable income. Even for me as self-employed, and if you guys have your businesses, if you're self-employed, income is even way more scrutinized. They want to see like two solid years of income before they would even give you a mortgage, right? But and then if you're employed, then they want to see like obviously job letters. They're going to want to see pay stubs. They're going to want to speak. A lot of them some of them will call. Some of the lenders will call just a quick phone call, but now they're even doing a little more. Calling a little more, asking a lot more questions.
Yeah.
They're doing their research on you to check and see if you're actually able to afford this mortgage.
Confirm everything.
Yeah, exactly. It was very loose when I first started. I've been doing this since 2012. And it wasn't as loose as I heard it was even before that. But it wasn't as before it was, buddy. So Mans are getting mortgages left, right, and center, no problem.
I waited too long to get a house, man.
Bro. Like before it was no money down, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy before. Now they've over the years put in what they were trying to do, and what they have successfully done so far is not. They don't want to be what happened to the U.S. in 2008, the recession. So anything to be away from that. Yeah, they put in the stress test, which now you have to qualify for a higher interest rate because you're seeing low interest rates right now, which is the big thing right now. You can get like 1%, 1.5%, 2%. Interest rates, which are very, very low interest rates for some people that don't know. Your average before when I started was like around 3.5%, 4.5%. So having a low interest rate is actually a great thing, but the stress test, what the government wants you to do, they want you to qualify for a higher interest rate to make sure that if that interest rate was to increase, you could still make your payments, right? You could still afford your mortgage and all that. So they will put you what we call a stress test. They will, even though you have a discounted rate at 1.25%, they will want you to qualify for a rate of 4% or 4.5%, whatever the Bank of Canada's rate is at that time. So you have to, which means that you have to be in a position where your income has to be solid. All the other things have to be solid in order for you to afford this home. So very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So what are some like other common misconceptions, that people have when looking to buy property?
Usually I find that with first time buyers, they'll go through that process with the mortgage broker, get to me. Yeah. They have $500,000 ready to buy. And then they'll give me a list that like, I want a 4-acre home, triple car garage. You know what I mean? I want a
horse stable. All this.
Yeah.
in the city with a horse stable.
Make sure it comes with the Benz or the Ferrari and stuff. Driveway. Yeah, no. I would say that is the biggest misconception is you don't need that knockout home right out the gate. You're not looking for your forever home right out the gate. You know what I mean? Take time. It may not be a detached house, especially in Toronto. I mean, you're most likely going to be in a condo or a townhouse or a semi-detached for your first property if you're a first-time buyer, depending on your income and your down payment. That's probably going to be the property that you'd be looking for. But most of them will be like, okay, well, I have this budget, but then I want a detached home, which is like $300,000-$500,000 different from what they can afford.
Yeah.
So it's setting your mind that, okay, this is stages. I'm going to buy that condo, but in 2-3 years, I'm going to move out of that condo and buy a townhouse or a semi-detached. And then from there, I'm going to get into the detached. Or you might be able to go from condo, townhouse, straight to detached home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Depending on where your home is located, and how well it did in terms of equity. But that would be the biggest misconception, I would say, for sure. Just cool down.
You may have to. You may have
relax.
You may have to go from a underground parking to a 1-car garage.
Yeah, to the double car.
Yeah.
Then go for the triple car with the Benz or Ferrari. But like,
and the fountain with alkaline water.
Yeah. These are the conversations I always have, and I have to kind of say, okay, hey, let's slow it down and work our way up there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what are 2 do's and don'ts that people should be aware of when they're looking to invest in property? 2 solid
that's a great
ones.
question. So invest, whether you're buying for yourself or as an investment, your location. I know you guys probably hear, everybody that hears about real estate, location. It is a big deal. Where your house is located, where your condo is located, that matters. Some areas do. Buddy, if you're in the right location, same house, but on the right street, right neighborhood, your house can appreciate, which means grow. The money can grow in it with by $100,000 or $200,000 in a year. I mean, this actually does happen. Funny enough, but not as much.
Really?
Depending on where you are. Yeah, bro. I had a situation where a client bought timing and location, bought the right property at the right time, new construction. Bought it for around $600,000. This was a few years ago, and it ended up selling. Called me the next year, like 9 months later, and say, "Hey, I want to put it up for the sale." So we ended up getting it ready and all that. $1,090,000, so just under 1.1.
Wow!
What? He almost doubled
in that time. So that was a crazy.
They did double. Yeah,
that was
almost.
600.
That's crazy, bro.
Buddy.
Yeah.
So tell me. So timing. I mean, nobody knows about timing. Timing is up to God alone. We don't know what gone with that. But location you can control. Yeah. So I would say do find properties that have a great location. I had a couple of things here. Cash flow. If it's an investment property, so if it's something that you already have your home, but then this is something that you're going to be renting out. You want to ideally, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but you ideally would want to buy a property that can cover itself, which means that the rent that's coming in is covering the mortgage and covering the property taxes. And then allow your tenants to pay for all the rest of the utilities and that's pretty much and everything else essentially, right? So they will cover the rent that's coming in, will cover your mortgage and your property tax, and then the tenant pays their utilities separate. And then, I mean, even if you're not making a dime, even if you're just breaking even, that is a beautiful situation because these guys are paying down your mortgage, plus your house, depending on where it is, if it's located in the right location, will be appreciating in value, which is amazing. So growing in equity. And then also you will be, if you are able to get cash flow, that's great because then now you're getting money in your pocket as well. Even a couple bucks, even if it's zero, this is all happening without you having to be involved. Obviously, yeah, exactly. You be a property manager, you have to deal with that aspect of it, but that's about it. So those are the two things. If it's cash, if it's an investment property, something that you're renting out, cash flow, I would take it more important. Like, so I would be more. I'll focus more on that. There's some people that focus only on appreciation, and appreciation is just, let's say you buy a new construction condo and you buy it for $500,000, and in 2 years it's not going to be built. You're 2 years from now, it's now worth 650 or 600. You only worry about that. The problem with this model and what we're finding right now is things like COVID-19 happen. And although our market's been doing great, the condo market in Toronto hasn't been doing great.
Yeah, no.
So all those people that were, in those positions, just focus on the appreciation, not focus on the fact that, let's make sure that this property can cover itself, or at least, even if it's a little bit of negative cash flow, I mean, that like if it's costing you $50 or $200 a month, because that you need to put out of your pocket with the rent just to cover the bills, that's fine. But there's a lot of people that are in positions now where they're way over their head. A lot of people are way over their head. The rent that's coming in, because there's not a lot of people renting right now due to COVID downtown in Toronto. So people are really struggling right now. So yeah.
So people are counting their chickens before they hatch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what that creates. The appreciation, to me, I look at that as the gravy on top. I think cash flow is something that you should, and cash flow again is making sure that you're covering all your expenses, that other things that are costing you. So your mortgage, your property taxes. If you have a condo, your maintenance fees as well, right? The don'ts, I would say, if you're investing, don't just go based on whatever the salesman, including myself, will tell you. Do your research. Look it up. A lot of things are up online now. You can check up a location. You can see, you can get all the information that you need on that property, usually online. And I will also, I would also say, like, don't focus on appreciation. That's the opposite of focus on cash flow. Don't just focus on appreciation for that example of COVID. Because if anything changes, if you're just focused on what could potentially happen, that's more of a gamble as opposed to, making sure that you're covering your expenses every month.
All right. So
I know it's a lot, man. I could talk a lot. Sorry, bro.
That's
good, bro.
You're dropping gems right now, bro.
That's perfect, bro. That's good information, man.
I'm taking notes myself.
Facts, bro. It's facts, that, bro. Like, I'm like dead ass. Like, honestly, like this is thing, as I said, like coming from like growing up in like metro housing, getting Kingston and Galloway, growing up in there, like these are things that I never heard before. You know what I mean? Like I was never privy to that stuff, and like I was fortunate enough that I'm able to kind of come out here to Calgary and kind of, like do a 1-2 thing, But like I never had this information, so like being able to like soak this information up and just listen, these are gems, bro. Appreciate it.
My dad said he's proud of you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
He's proud of you, man. I mentioned it to him, and he's very, very proud. These are the things he's saying, that these are the reasons why he does. He's still doing. He was just in the ETBA meeting this morning, or right when I came in this afternoon. These are the reasons why he does this. Is to see people like, guys like you that are coming from those areas. I appreciate it. I grew up, so even before Galloway, I was in Finch, and I was living in Driftwood.
Oh wow!
So you guys, so you know Driftwood.
Man.
Jane and Driftwood. So I live. So there's a convenience store called Tadmore. You know Tadmore? It's right across. So you have, it's just what would be just. It's Tadmore is like right by Brookview, the middle school. If you know Jane and Finch, you know the area. It's right around in that same area. But I grew up on top of Tadmore for years. From when I was born. Yeah, Finch is the Wild West, bro.
Yeah,
Finch is crazy. But like I remember the reason why I bring the story up is I remember my mom and my dad were never together. Like they obviously had me together, but they were never married, right? Myself and my sister, but they were never married. But anyway, I grew up with my mom first, and then I moved in with my dad in Galloway. So I went from one hood to the next. Funny enough, but I remember my mom moving out of Finch, and we're in housing with roaches, the whole nine, above the convenience store. You know what I mean? And her moving out to go rent in Brampton was, as I said, it was the biggest thing. It was huge,
bro.
That's just like to go out of that. You know what I mean? She didn't even know to think about, maybe I could have saved some money and go now buy a property. She wasn't even thinking. It wasn't even remotely on her mind to buy. You know what I mean? And, and then it just, that cycle continues.
I moved out from the hood, from Kingston. I live 4301 Kingston Road.
Yeah.
I live apartment 320, bro. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'll be doing like, doing like stuff for like letters and stuff. Like sometimes I put like my old address, like 4301 Kings Road in Galloway, apartment 320, M12, like all that shit. I put all that stuff in there. I'm like, oh wait, I don't live here no more. You know what I mean? And like, But like from me moving from Kings Road in Galloway, from the white building, and I only moved like 2 blocks. Like I moved down to Overture, which is 2 blocks.
Yeah. That's huge. Overture, you're in the rich part of now.
Bro,
you're in the rich part of the.
My mom made that move in grade 8.
I'm being dead real. He's in the rich now. You're not in the rich area.
Facts, bro.
And it's not even Overture's not even that. Like it's just now houses.
It's just regular
housing. It's regular homes.
Yeah, bro. And bro, like I moved there. I remember I moved grade. I was vexed when I moved. I'm like, yo, how you moved me out from the hood? You know? Like, I was vexed because like all I knew was a hood. That's all I knew. Like playing ball in Maplewood, playing ball in the back. Like that's all I knew. And I was vexed. And like hearing everything. I'm like, yo, like she made a decision that was that benefited her and myself and my family.
100%. It's so funny because when you think about that, like. When you come out of those areas, you're same thing. Vex at your parents. Why you moving me out of the hood? All your friends. They know, bro. They know. Like
facts.
We're trying to set you up. We're trying to set you up to be, successful where you are. Your environment is it's just not gonna happen, or it makes it a lot harder for it to happen.
Just to have a chance,
Yeah, bro.
It's a chance or something, So it's just, as I said, like
Chuck and I have these conversations all the time,
bro. Like
him and I talk about this.
And like
regularly,
people who've been in those like situations and stuff and those environments, like you're so much more grateful for like opportunity because
for sure.
You know what you've come from. Like I tell these kids in Calgary all the time, like these like I love these kids to death. Like these kids out here, like these guys don't know struggle, right? So like I'm like, yo, like when I was growing up, like I remember having to like take the friggin' shopping cart from No Frills and put that in the corner and use that as a net.
I mean, like you had a shopping cart, bro. We had like the freaking the milk cartons,
the milk cartons.
I remember doing that stuff, and like back in the day when like slam ball came out, I remember putting the shopping cart on like in the middle of the net and like trying to jump off the shopping cart and dunk it.
Yup, yeah.
I remember doing all this stuff.
The cart stayed in the outside.
Yeah,
outside court of the white building. So I lived, so there's a fence, and I lived literally
in the back.
Right next.
Yeah,
to
I remember.
Right.
Yeah, I remember
that outdoor. Remember, you used to put the cart there so you could jump off of it. And
yes, I remember. That's fact. I'm talking facts, bro. Like I remember doing that. I'm like, you guys don't know because now like I'll be driving, like I'll be out here and driving Calgary, and I'll see like these like pristine basketball courts with like mesh rims. And like the court is not like blacktop, it's like some kind of rubber material. So it's like this is like I would have killed for this, and they're empty.
Yep.
And they're empty. And I'm like, yo, like you guys don't understand like what you guys are like. I don't want to say you have a silver spoon in your mouth, but like you guys don't know. Like we have to have like even like playing ball in the white building. Like if you lost, you're off.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I mean, because everybody's
it also goes to the change of time and people understanding the importance of those courts, right? And so like when we were growing up, we didn't have the importance of it was that it was just there, right? But they couldn't see residual impact as we were growing up, right? Now it's kind of a thing where sports and physical literacy and all that type of stuff is very stressed across the country, right? So them putting all the effort and the money and all that stuff to revamp old courts. Like I remember when they did Markham and Eglinton's court, when they revamped
M&E,
when they completely changed.
Look nice, yeah.
Like that's
my grandma lives right there.
Yeah, like those type of stuff. To us, it's a bigger deal than the ones that never played on there before and they're seeing it, right? So it's just a generational thing. Like we have the appreciation of it because we know the nets that we used to play on. We know that if we were playing outdoors, if you're shooting, you have to get it directly in or it's a brick. Like it's the way how it works, right? Like those
you guys had those triple thick rims.
The net had no mesh on it, and sometimes
it's like a band of steel. This shit.
You'll be lucky if it had like the friggin' like the chain link, man.
Oh, the biggest argument wasn't the biggest argument wasn't if it was a foul. The biggest argument was, did it go in?
If it went in,
Because that was because that's what because from some people's POV, it was an air ball that you missed, man. Right? Like it was the way how it was, but it's just for us, we can appreciate seeing that these courts are there, but we never really appreciate the fact that they're not being as used as much, because if we had those when we were growing up, we were using them. Like it doesn't matter. We would travel, like people would take the bus to go to a next hood to play on those courts because they had the rims up, and the courts by us didn't have the rims up, like stuff like that, or it was crooked,
or lights. They
lights.
have the lights.
That's
a big thing too.
Lights is a big deal.
Bro.
That's why some of those guys that come in, if you can shoot and in the dark and still make it, buddy,
your lights on. When the lights are on,
I remember
when the lights are on in the gym,
you're cashing. Yeah, you're cashing,
buddy.
I came from I used to live in Bathurst and Lawrence in Neptune, so I was a West Side guy, and then parents moved up to Richmond Hill, right? And the courts there weren't that great because Richmond Hill didn't really care as much about basketball as they did everything else. We had one court that's pretty much like playing Super Mario basketball, where it's like you had the pothole over there, or you had the cracked asphalt over there, and if you want to use it to your advantage, if you're being beat up by a guy with good defense, you try to bring it in the pothole, but while these guys were like,
oh my goodness,
while these guys were complaining, I'm like, yo, there's a rim here. And I didn't care. It's like it was way better than what you had back in Neptune Drive. So, but then going back to where I grew up and seeing those courts refurbished, they have that asphalt material. It's like advanced technology basketball, and there's like one or two kids there, and it's like, oh man, it does get to you, man. It gets to you. But we also didn't have as many distractions back then. Like back then, all you had was like outside. You know what I'm saying? Like you had basketball.
There's no internet and all that stuff.
No internet, no laptops, no Instagram, none of that stuff.
You had to schedule to go on the internet because you had to make sure your parents weren't getting a phone call. Like,
bro. AOL. Remember AOL and shit? Dial up internet and shit, bro.
All right, so I got one last question for everyone before we wrap it up. And this is just a round table for everyone. So we know that basketball is coming back December 22nd. So which game would you want to see on Christmas Day? And what is something that you always have to have, like when you're watching games on Christmas? Whether it's food, whether it's a drink, whether it's a thing. What is something that you always have to have on Christmas when you're watching these games? And what is one game that you want to see this Christmas?
For me, for sure, like, anyone who knows me knows, like, I'm a huge family person. Like, family is everything. It means everything to me. So, like, whenever we have, like, Christmas stuff or, like, Thanksgiving stuff and they have Christmas day games, even though my family is not really, like, basketball, like, you know, they're not really, like, into basketball like that. Like, they'll sit and watch it, you know, but just having that camaraderie, like, oh, like, you can sit and then your uncle over there is cussing and, you know, everything's going on, but everyone's just there watching basketball. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that, like, I definitely miss, and that's something that, like, I look forward to having. So family for sure, and something that a game that I want to watch. Like, I'm torn. Like, I kind of want to see Lakers and Clippers, but then I'm like, yo, I'm done with the Clippers or whatever. I want to see, like, Lakers and Brooklyn would be a good matchup, I think.
Okay.
Or Lakers and Brooklyn, or even like Brooklyn and Golden State might be a good matchup. Those are two things that, like, I'd be excited to watch, but, like, there's not one game where I'm like, yo, that's, like, that has to be it. Like, you know how before it was like Golden State and Cavs, like that has to be the game on Christmas.
Right.
Now it's like there are multiple kind of things that could go. Like, Brooklyn would be a good matchup. Lakers will probably get the Christmas Day game. I don't know who else after that. Maybe.
I think for me, it depends if Bron's playing or not. If Bron's not playing, to be honest, I'm not really interested in seeing like.
Are you a Bron fan?
Bron's not playing. No, not at all.
Oh, just in general. The opposite. Yeah, the opposite.
Exactly. Not at all. Not at all.
But you respect him.
I respect his game. I respect his talent. I respect his game. So And yeah, he's the main reason to watch the Lakers, right? He is the
talk
Lakers.
carefully, y'all. MJ's watching.
Oh, I know he's punching air right now.
Yeah.
So,
MJ is watching right now.
So, if he's not playing, there's no reason to like. AD's good, but just like LeBron brings in more tickets than AD. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, the game for me, I would like to see Brooklyn in action. I think that's the most anticipated for me. Is whoever is Brooklyn just playing. You know, I also want to see. I also want to see Zion too. You know, I want to see how Zion's gonna play without the restrictions. Because he showed in the little time that we saw him, he showed a lot of potential, and he showed like he could be a big name in this season.
Right.
So even seeing, I don't know if I want to see, you know, Pelicans and Nets, but I want to see I want to see who Brooklyn plays. I want to see how KD does coming back, and don't want to see Zion. I want to see how Golden State is. Now they have a week off, and Steph Curry apparently hit the gym hard this offseason. And the thing I have to have.
He was here.
Huh? He was what?
He was here. He was in Toronto.
He was in Toronto. Him and his Aisha.
His family. him and his family were here for a couple months. Yeah, I got.
That's why he got swole. You did that. Yeah, that Toronto man's workout.
I see they're always at Jig's gym.
Oh,
see them.
You mean the athletic center of Lakeshore? Is that
the athletic center?
The thing I have to have, even though I'm lactose intolerant, is rum and eggnog, and like Appleton rum and eggnog. I know.
How does that work for you then?
It's worth the sacrifice. Talk to my friends. The one thing you can't have around me is eggnog.
It's called Boxing Day payoff.
Oh my
Bro,
goodness,
I will wax off an entire box. I remember I was staying with my friend, finished off eggnog his family made for him. As a sorry, I bought him a box of eggnog and finished that off too. Like I have an addiction to it, even though I pay for it. And it has to have Appleton rum. That's the thing I have to have. Right.
I just feel sorry for your girl, man.
For me, I love. I really want to see Golden State play. I really, really want to see Golden State play during Christmas. I felt like they were missing it. It was weird to not have them play.
It was weird.
Mm-hmm. Really, really weird. So I would want to see Golden State. I would want to see. I would say Toronto, but
you don't know what's happening with that roster.
No idea.
That
no idea what's going on right now.
I don't know, man.
Don't even know where we're gonna play.
If you asked me this, so if you asked me this last year, this exact same time, I would have said Toronto for sure because we deserved it. You know what I mean? Christmas Day for sure. But now I don't know, man. I don't know. I would like to see Miami play. I would like to see Miami play. No, I was thinking I was going to say Brooklyn, but Brooklyn, I would prefer Brooklyn to play LA as well. That would be a Durant versus just with all the
everything going on
behind it with Kyrie and Durant talking up, and LeBron. And LeBron would have to play though. There's no way he can't play.
Yeah, you have to play.
Yeah. And I would agree with.
If LeBron plays,
if LeBron plays, everything. Like that is everything's on that. But I would also say family for me as well is huge. I would want to know the sound will have to be on though during Christmas because during Christmas everybody wants to bully. There's so much going on. I need the sound to be on boom blast super loud, super loud. So sound for me is big, but then obviously having my family there will be awesome.
So for me, Christmas is my birthday. So.
Dope.
So
like that, like the literally day. That day.
Actual day, right? Yeah. So, I've gotten so accustomed to. I tell everyone at work like I allow Jesus to have the morning and I have the afternoon. So that's when. So it gives people because it's family time, right? So you're not gonna get those immediate like happy birthdays in the beginning, whatever, right?
Right.
But, like when the games are on, that's when I start really getting like the happy birthday wishes and the well wishes and stuff like that, right? So that and I agree with SA. Anyone that knows me, I'm a big eggnog fan. As soon as eggnog comes out, I buy a box.
Wow.
Like that's the way how it works, right?
Yeah.
It could be in November. I'm out there. Like I found a box in October one time, and I was like, "All right, cool, we're
Bro,
good."
really?
Like,
was it good?
No, like
it was from
like,
last year, right?
No, it was a fresh box. So
I didn't know.
This guy has to talk to the supplier directly.
So
Yeah.
there's, you got your hookups. So for me, it's like eggnog and brandy, but then there's also an actual eggnog with alcohol in it, already made. So it's one of those ones. And as far as games, I would want to see Golden State versus Brooklyn.
So
that'd be solid.
I'd want to see. I honestly always just think that Toronto should get a home game, especially when we were finishing high in the standings and still weren't getting Christmas games. So
yeah, bro.
TV ratings, bro.
Disrespect.
But I get it. But when the Knicks were shit, they were getting Christmas games, and I was like, all right,
Knicks
like,
will always be
like,
New York, bro.
I know.
You have an entire country watching, an entire country.
So,
it only makes sense.
Yeah, so for me, it would be Golden State, Brooklyn, and then Toronto. I'd like to see a Toronto-Boston game on Christmas. Yeah, just because it went 7 games, it was competitive. It was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like
arguably one of the best games of the whole series, to be honest.
Yeah,
the whole like playoffs was it Game 7? The one that was really down to the wire.
That's the one that where
Most of the
I
games
would
off
say
the wire.
media gave us.
Yeah.
Like they respected that game more than any other game, right? Like they were like, okay, that was down to like the nitty gritty. Everybody gave their all, and it is what it is, right? Like, everybody came correct, so it is what it is, except for Siakam. But yeah, go on.
And the refs.
And the refs.
Larry shouldn't have fouled out, but.
All right, we're not going back down that path. We could go forever, and I don't want coach to start making statements. So we've got to the point of the Chatroom Podcast where we get to promote our social medias and anything else that we might be working on or continuing to do. So Tristian, we'll start with you as you're our guest.
Okay, so social media, IG, I'm doing TikTok now, which is crazy. I feel like a little schoolgirl, but that's fine. It is what it is. Got to be on all platforms, TikTok, IG, Facebook, all that. It's all my name, Tristian Clunis, Tristian Clunis, Clunis.
Dope.
Up. Yep.
Coach.
My IG, same thing as always. Real deal. _Francis, and I mean, we just got they announced on Tuesday that the season is canceled due to COVID.
Oh man, unfortunate about it.
So we just got that news. So I've just been last few days I've just been kind of immersed myself back into the whole club basketball stuff. So I've been in the gym every day with that. So that's where my focus is now. This club basketball with CYDC in Calgary. So just been that. So you'll hear more from the college side of me next year.
Fair enough.
SA.
So my personal IG is Pro Chatterbox, and then on my podcast, Talks with the Chatterbox with Joseph, drops every Thursday, and the Instagram for that is @ChatterTalks.
Dope. And you can find me at The Senator. Don't forget to check out the Not So Soft podcast with myself, Nino Rockwell, and Kino the Great. We drop that every Friday. Don't forget to check out the Twitch stream every Sunday at twitch.tv/SL_ENT, where myself, DJ Dilly, and the rest of the SL Entertainment team will live stream music. We just DJ for like 4 hours on there. So don't forget to check that out. And we just recorded something with That Chick Chris that will be coming out on YouTube soon. And that is about male ego, male pride, and mental health. So look out for that type of stuff. And so before we wrap this completely up, we want to thank Tristian again for coming on here, dropping all the knowledge that he did.
Appreciate you, bro.
That was fun, man. I had a blast with you guys, man. That was awesome.
All love.
Yeah, anytime you have anything that you want to promote or stuff like that, just feel free to hit us up. We'll have a next podcast where you're always welcome to come on. And if you see changes in the real estate market, that's the next time to come on.
I hit you guys up for sure.
Always changes. So This has been the Chatroom Podcast, your favorite baller's favorite podcast, and we are out. Peace.
I need a refill on some wine, man.